to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello, people.
Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. This week, we'll be discussing the Mario Bava classic, A Bay of Blood, also called Twitch of the Death Nerve.
Which makes no goddamn sense. I kept waiting for like a pinch or something involving a nerve, but none of that has anything to do with it. Why don't they call it like the zombie arm of death, since that has nothing to do with it either?
Right. The zombie.
At least the Bay of Blood, there is in fact a bay and there is in fact some blood.
That is
Although
correct.
Twitch of the Death Nerve sounds amazing. Too bad it has nothing to do with the movie.
Well, and what specifically would be the death nerve? Is that
I'm
a specific
telling you,
nerve?
it's Leonard Nimoy giving you the pinch, and then it's death. Or it's like Kill Bill, which he does the 5-point, and then 2 minutes later your heart explodes. That could be like the pinch of the death nerve.
That would make sense.
It has nothing to do with this movie.
That's not a damn thing. And those are only 2 of the titles under which this movie is known. I mean, there are literally 5 other titles. But anyway, Aaron, what's going on with you?
God damn it, Kevin! Why can't I get a job coming up with ideas for the names of movies? I can do that for movies. I can do that for country western songs. Whatever. This is clearly where my place to shine, and yet I cannot work it out financially.
Sad but
God
true.
Damn it.
Sad but
God
true.
Damn it.
Well, this was the 70s where they'd release a movie under a certain title, and then if it didn't go as expected, they would re-release it under a different title, and they'd keep doing that until they gave up or until they finally found an audience. So who the hell knows?
Exactly. They're like, we're going to need another one, Aaron. I'm like, okay, Twitch of the Death Nerve. Okay, we're going to need another one. I'm like, Bay of Blood. We're going to need another one, Aaron. Italians are crazy. All right, good one. Another one, Aaron.
Well, and originally
Italians bleed ketchup. Next one.
The original title in Italian that it was released in, it was called like Ecology of Crime, because they thought the word ecology was a popular term at the time. So it has nothing to do with ecology either.
Less humans on the earth would probably be better for the planet. So they're just doing their part.
They're just doing their part, for goodness sake. So we were talking before we started recording about the family Christmas party is coming up. And they always do a kind of a twisted white elephant gift exchange. So what's going on, Aaron? What's the word?
All right. So, you really should not buy things off of Twitter or Facebook. But I figured since I went through PayPal, I have at least some protection. Unlike during coronavirus when I ordered something from some crazy shop from China and then the shop disappeared and you click all the links and it goes nowhere. So I got my money back because it was PayPal. So let's just hope that Snoop on the Shelf arrives in time.
It's called Snoop on the Shelf?
Like Elf on the Shelf?
Like Elf on the Shelf.
But it's Snoop, and he's got his stoner glasses on, and I'm not sure if he has a spleef or not, but I ordered 2, one for myself and one for the gift exchange, and I feel that is going to be quite a popular little gift.
I love it. Good times. That'll be good for the whole family.
I don't even know. Well, if the kids don't know, it's a nice black elf that can sit on the corner.
That's smoking a J on their windowsill. Exactly.
It could be some cools or something. We don't know.
Wait a minute. Why does it have to be cools? You racist?
Because it's 100% fact. Back in my smoking days, all my friends that were African American always smoked those nasty menthol cigarettes.
Awful.
I probably knew one white person that smoked menthols. Because that was their thing. Well, like, you don't want to bum a cigarette from me. I smoke menthols. I'm like, I'm having a nick fit. I'll smoke your nasty cigarette, and then I'll complain to you how nasty it is while I'm smoking it. But
Aren't menthol cigarettes even worse for your lungs than regular ass cigarettes? I thought there was something in the menthol, the chemical or something.
exactly. I mean, who thought wintergreen and tobacco combined would be such a cool breeze? Such I mean, nasty. People complain about people have strawberry flavored tobacco. No one complained about wintergreen.
I remember as a child, you could go to, your candy shop and get candy cigarettes and candy cigars.
The good ones, the good candy cigarettes, were the ones where if you blew out, this
Yes.
white powder would fly out like you were smoking a real cigarette.
Yes.
That was good stuff. I used to buy those all the time.
So ridiculous. The idea. Why not like fake candy crack or fake candy heroin while
let's
we're at it?
let's be straight that they do sell candy syringes. There you squirt the candy out into
Oh
your
my
mouth.
God.
So they're like, I like that so much. I want to try some of that H.
That H. Absolutely. Well, I even remember they would have Big League Chew, which was supposed to be like
Yes,
chewing tobacco. I think they still have that, by the way. That's still on the shelves. Big League Chew. It was like chewing tobacco, but it was gum.
people don't even remember because they clamped down on this. But watching Major League Baseball in the old days was disgusting.
Yes.
It was disgusting. And they would mix the chewing tobacco, not the snuff in the little packets, just this big shredded tobacco. They'd mix it with chewing gum.
Oh God.
And then back in the 70s, these baseball players would always turn their head and just fire off the stream
Yes.
of disgustingness.
Absolutely. They'd be at the
Oh,
plate about to hit the ball,
oh,
just spitting
oh
up
my
a huge glob.
while the camera is on you, you're like, I'd rather them fire up some Luckies, Lucky Strikes or something. I'd rather have a little circle in their glove where you can slide a cigarette in than watching people spit the goo. Oh my God, men are
Horrible.
monsters. Why are men monsters?
We just are. I can't explain it.
I've only known two girls that would use what do they call it? They call it snuff, but it's not the snuff you put up your nose. It's the snuff you hide in your
Right. Now
gum
I'm talking about.
until your gum turns white and shredded and you get cancer. I've known two girls in my life, and this was high school, who did that.
Wait. Say that you had two friends in high school, two girls who were doing chewing tobacco. That is disgusting. I
Not
can't
the
even.
chewing kind, but the snuff in the packets where they slide it up here. Oh, actually, they didn't have the packets back in the day, so it was you take a little pinch
A
and
little
shove it in
pinch
your
and shove it
gum.
in there. Absolutely.
Oh,
Vile. No, I knew dudes. I don't know why we're talking about this for 20 minutes, but I knew dudes in college. You drive around in their car and they constantly be spitting glop out in a little like tin can while you're driving. You're just like about to throw up. Just pull over. Let me out anywhere. This is disgusting.
look,
Anyway,
I was in high school and this is another tale of why guys are disgusting, especially high school guys. So they get the big cups and they keep spitting it because they want to get it to surface tension. So, of course, invariably in my high school English class, this goes tipping over and spreads across the table because
in
we
your
have
high school, wait a
tables
minute, they're doing this during class.
they're doing
This is
this
getting
during
worse and
class.
worse. So this is
So,
75.
so
People are doing this.
it was not 75, you bastard. It was just a sea. It was like I was praying for Moses to part the Red Sea,
Oh,
but he
Jesus.
did not. I jumped back. I'm screaming. Teacher doesn't know what's going on because it's one of those slow
Yeah, of
motion things that
course.
you can see. And it was like the Matrix. I'm bending backwards to avoid the bullet.
People are running for their
Everybody,
lives.
everybody is like,
This is a horrifying story. Aaron, give us your 30-second synopsis of A Bay of Blood, please, for God's sakes.
A bunch of people are fighting over control of this club on a bay that's in derelict condition. and everybody's murdering each other. It's like Agatha Christie, but with close-up red paint gloppus. The best part of the movie is the death scenes. You're here for the death scenes.
Absolutely.
They're not scary. They're not scary, but they are creative.
This now, had you ever even heard of this movie before?
Never heard of it. Now I got you deep diving Giallo.
But this is true. Well, and that's the thing about this movie. I had never seen it before either, but I had seen, like, you're flipping through Netflix or whatever. I had seen the poster for this movie 1,000 times.
I'm sure you thought it was a Bay of Piranha.
It was a Bay of Piranha. I knew nothing about it, but I was watching on Shudder the 100 scariest movie moments. And Edgar Wright, the famous director, did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, One Night in Soho, talked about this movie, about A Bay of Blood, and about how influential it was. This was like 1972 or something along those lines, 1971. And how it inspired basically all these the slasher flicks that you remember in the 80s, essentially. So I'm like, well, now I have to see it. So good time. And I'm glad I did. Damn it.
Yeah. Damn it.
Damn it all to hell. Shall we jump right in? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you want to go first?
Best scene is how they murder a poor woman in a wheelchair.
That's right out of the gate, too.
No! It literally opens up when someone doesn't want to sell. The next thing you know, a noose is around a woman's neck, 4 feet off the ground, 3 feet off the ground, and she's just hanging there because apparently she has no function below the waist.
Yes.
Like she can't even wiggle up on her knees or anything. So she's just hanging there like David Carradine in his closet. Boom.
Yes. Like Michael Hutchence from INXS is what you're talking about. Yes.
I figured this is how autoerotic fixation goes, man. This is it.
And we had to really hit this scene. Old woman in a wheelchair scooting down the hall, and then she leans forward, and you see like a faceless dude put a noose around her neck and kick the wheelchair out from under her. So she goes flopping forward. I appreciate she was like stiff as a board, like she'd been planking or something. Your knees would still go to the ground, right? You don't have to stand straight forward and just hang yourself. No?
Maybe she's like the Psycho mom. Remember how there was that indentation? Maybe she's just like frozen from the waist down. Not only is she paralyzed, she has rigor mortis.
Total rigor.
From the waist down.
Absolutely. Well, and we've seen a lot of giallo, those Italian kind of crime films, but they reveal the killer like in 2 seconds. Like, boom, they slowly pan up and they're like, oh, here's the killer. I'm like, oh, damn, I guess that's not some mystery. And then he's killed. He's brutally murdered by a faceless assassin. Stab, 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 stab. So now he's dead. They're just dropping like flies.
It's literally only murderers at the Bay. Everyone is a murderer. That's the reveal. Everyone. There's no innocent parties.
Only murders at the Bay. It's like that Steve Martin show with Martin Short. Yeah.
Exactly.
It is.
Someone told me I needed to watch that, but since our parents are watching that, it's an automatic reject.
Hard pass. And I love Steve Martin and Martin Short. But that's neither here nor there.
I'm not so sure.
This movie, you're absolutely right. Everybody is either a hardcore psychopath or is about to become a murderer at the drop of a hat. Later in the movie, the wife, I'm not going to remember any of the names, Renata, tells her husband, he witnessed the murder. You need to go kill him. What? Yeah, kill him. Okay. And then he kills him, strangles the poor beetle guy to death with a phone line like he'd done it 10 times before.
And let's reveal that crazy couple,
yes,
with the redhead lady just barking at her husband, you got to go do it.
Just go kill him. Would you kill him, please?
Literally left their trailer on the side of the road with their 2 kids in it and pretended to wait till they fell asleep and drove off. As soon as they drove off, the kids were peeking out the window.
Yes.
I was like, this is all bad. This is all bad. Because that's what you do. You don't get a babysitter because I told you we should take them to our aunts. We need to raise our own children. That sounds very millennial talk. No babysitter. No strangers will watch our child.
That's correct.
Not even if it's your sister.
Free range children. Just let them make their own choices. Now, there are multiple scenes where it's like seemingly innocuous people are like, oh, by the way, I'm a murderer. By the way, I seem like a normal person. I'm also a murderer. I'm conspiring to have someone killed. I'm encouraging you to kill someone else. I'm killing someone at the drop of a hat. Everybody's a murderer in this movie.
Right. I mean, it's just bang, bang, bang. So we see the poor woman getting killed and a suicide note. And then as the killer's trying to put the suicide note, someone stabs him with like a 2-inch knife, but about 1,000
Yes.
times.
Like a prison shank is basically how he got it.
Then we cut to the crazy couple is going to the bay, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Yes.
And then there's a house, and then there's the derelict building. And I started getting that confused. I'm like, what's happening?
Yes.
What's happening?
It was. I looked at Wikipedia because again, your brother is a
he's
well, I'm a narcoleptic, as we've often established.
I thought you were saying you were a narc.
I'm a narc,
like, really?
Like 21 Jump Street. So I was
called. You're really 32, but you're trying to pass as a high school kid.
That's correct. I'm Richard Grieco.
Richard Grieco. They're like, hey, did you see? I got in my senior English. There's a bald dude. Do you think he has cancer?
I get that a lot. No, it's so I watched probably the first 30 minutes of this movie, not knowing what the hell's going on. I fell asleep, rewound it, and I'm like, I still don't know what the hell's happening. So I went and read Wikipedia, and Wikipedia was like, well, this is what's happening. I'm like, where do you see that? Where is that? Later, what happens is about an hour and a half into the movie, then it kind of reveals everyone's motivations for the most part.
Right.
For the most part. But for the first hour and a half, you're like, I have no idea what people are doing or why they're doing it. You knew, there's the lawyer and his legal assistant / lover, that they're trying to acquire the rights to the bay because it's a beautiful area. And they want to, turn it into a resort or something along those lines?
What I couldn't figure out, one, he has a bed next to his desk in his office. And two, are they actually at the bay also? Because they seem to be right there too. Is there 3 properties all right next to each other?
There's that.
His office, the resort, and then the house.
Well, there is no resort yet. The building is just the house. Is where.
Wait, then what is that? A big abandoned place?
It's abandoned because the people who live there have been murdered 2 days prior.
No. And at one point,
I understand. There's a big dance floor. That's all part of the same place. It's all part of the same. Yes.
That's where I got lost. I thought it was a resort that had been abandoned and they wanted to bring it back.
No.
Wait, I think you're wrong.
I'm telling you.
Because at one point, she leaves that, runs through the forest, and comes to the house.
Well, okay. This is where it's bizarre and confusing. So basically it's an island, essentially. Where we're talking, the property is this island that this old rich woman owns. Now
it can't be an island. They drove to it.
I mean, there's a bridge or something. But basically what it is on the island, there is a crazy couple that live on the property who the husband collects beetles and the wife is like a fortune teller or something like that.
Oh my God. She looks so jolly. She totally fits the part. She's got her Mrs. Roper outfit on. She's got crazy curly hair. She's got black eyeliner. We can drop her into Profondo Rosa. Yep. No problem.
She absolutely is Mrs. Roper from Three's Company. No question. So there's that couple who happen to live on the property. And then there's the bastard son, Simon, who lives in an old shack, literally a shack on the beach where he does his octopus fishing from time to time. They all live. So you have that one couple who are the only non-murderers who are just wrong place, wrong time, who are constantly, they're peeking and going, oh, damn, and then they run and hide and get killed later for just witnessing things they shouldn't have witnessed, essentially. It's bizarre and confusing. Make no mistake. But to answer your previous question of the lawyer with the bed over here and the desk over there, one place is where he does his work, and the other is where he does his business, if you know what I'm saying.
Business. I do like, it was all very modern. I do like the aesthetic back from the old days. There was all, just everybody had art, huge art pieces that light up. At one point, they have like over the bed were these light fixtures that look like balloons. I kept thinking, did they have a balloon arch over their bed? No, it's that heavy plastic. I mean, obviously he was a very successful architect. If you got room for all this modern art. So that was kind of fun, kind of a splash from the past. I always like that. When they try to recreate that shit, when they try to do modern movies that take place in the past, it always looks cheesy.
Right.
It always never looks right, you know?
Well, and the thing, so it's early 70s aesthetic, but it's also courtesy of Italy. So this is all Italian. So it's a double whammy.
And modern. It's lots of pops of color. It's not 80s Italian. Remember, then it started getting really freaky and gross, and you're like, this is good, like late 60s, early 70s Italian modern design. In the 80s, we went a little too overboard. It's from Italy. Or remember Goodfellas?
Oh, yeah.
Remember Goodfellas? There was the rock wall. You click it. It's imported from Italy. It came in a giant box. That Italian aesthetic.
Not so much.
This was very sweet. This was sweet.
This is the good stuff. But so so the couple are trying to acquire it, but she does not want to sell. The old woman does not want to sell because she likes its kind of rustic, natural quality, I guess, is the idea behind it. So and we have to explain this. They go to her husband, who does not own it. That's her newish husband. So they basically try to convince him to murder his wife, so that then he will own it, and then he'll be able to sign it off to sell it to them for a huge profit. And that was the dude that killed his wife in the opening scene.
Right.
And then he disappears because he's been murdered and people don't know where he is. So that couple comes to the island like, where the hell did he go? We're supposed to meet with him. Where it gets confused.
Yeah, I thought time had passed, but it hadn't. No. This was all boom, boom, boom. It was like the next day people are showing up. Let's go, let's go.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's a whole thing. So the reveal is Simon, the crazy fisherman who lives on the beach, is the old woman's bastard son that nobody knew.
They all live together.
Right.
This is like the Duggars or something.
It is the Duggars.
They're all
well, and that's crazy.
When we meet him, let's be clear. We have a zoom in on him chewing on something that looks strangely like an enlarged testicle. And then
it was an octopus, but I wrote that down as well. Why are you eating a live octopus?
He is not. I think he's killing it.
Or just by nibbling it.
By biting it.
That'll do
by biting the back of its head, I guess. Is that a thing? I have to Google that.
Google the best way to kill a fresh-caught octopus.
Because you don't want them to suffer because they're very smart.
That's entirely possible. So her bastard son, who she loves enough to allow to live on the island with her, but does not allow her to live actually in the estate. He has to live in literally a shack.
I just Googled how to kill an octopus, and there's a picture of a small Polynesian child biting the octopus.
Where?
The best way to kill an octopus is to bite the octopus between the eyes, where the brain is located. It will kill the octopus instantly.
To bite him?
It is common practice for fishermen to hunt octopus this way in Hawaii, and is often taught when they're introduced to diving, as the octopus can be found in shallow water.
Don't show me pictures.
Octopus.
Don't show me pictures. Do not.
Well, you don't see anything. It's like he's biting into an apple, except it has suction cups.
But what does it say about the bays off of Italy? Does it mention anything about? Could you?
Well, and then the next thing I was like, I thought octopus were in deep water. I'm like, dang, how's that dude rolling out a rowboat, filling his thing with octopus? And then the first thing that popped up was San Francisco Bay used to be filled with octopus.
Too much biting of the octopus, evidently, and that was it. They fled that scene of the crime. So where it gets confusing is that the couple who are the people who want to buy the bay also have a thing going with Simon in some way. Because they're like, hey, you're the heir because you're her natural born son. So now we'll make the deal with you, kind of thing. But there's another couple who arrive who is the daughter and her husband of the husband who killed his wife, who walk up and are like, hey, we want the bay as well.
All right, we need to clarify. Please. So there's the illegitimate son, the octopus fighter. There is the entomologist and his wife.
Yes, the fortune teller woman.
There is the daughter of the husband.
Of the murdered husband.
And of the murdered husband and her husband. And then there's the architect.
Not an architect.
And his girlfriend.
Lawyer.
What is
lawyer.
It? A lawyer. Yes. A lawyer and his girlfriend. Yes. Sometime girlfriend. You better call and see if I'm available.
Right. They say affair. Like, we're having an affair. So I don't know if they just mean like it's inappropriate for a boss, an employee to be engaged, or if he's married in the
early 70s in Italy.
Don't matter.
With the bunga rooms with the prime minister or
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about politics in Italy with Berlusconi and his orgies of underage girls. So it's probably winked at.
more than winked at. So there's multiple people who are trying to acquire the property, essentially. And it's a lot of, hey, I think that person has a greater claim than you do on the property. You should go kill them, kind of thing. Kill them and then sell it to me is what the attorney and his lover, that's their plan. But
the bodies are piling up. It's time for me to hop into my Fiat and head back to Milan for a couple of days or something until things cool down.
Right. Well, and there's also the bizarre, I guess they're supposed to be teenagers who pull into town on a dune buggy to check out the abandoned mansion or whatever it is, mansion/nightclub, and then are promptly murdered for seemingly not much of a reason at all. We just need a couple more deaths.
Oh my God. I completely forgot all about that. Between the full frontal nudity and the fishermen biting octopuses like apples, I blocked all that out.
Okay, so it's I guess there's supposed to be two American guys, although these guys are obviously European. And then two chicks they picked up along the way, one who's German and one who's French.
My God! No, they called she's Scandinavian or something. They said Scandi.
They said German, but then also called her a Viking. So who's to know what the story is? It's like they don't care. Basically, I told you I'd take the French one and you take the Viking. So.
Oh my God, that's right. That's right. Which I don't understand. How is this taking place if it's the same house where all the other people are living or staying?
Well, no. Again, everyone who lives in the big house is dead. Everyone who lives in the big house is dead.
This is at the beginning. They can't all be dead.
Yeah, there's only two people who live in the big house, and they're dead. The people who live, the couple, don't live. They live on the property, but they don't live in the main house.
Very confusing.
It is very confusing. Well, it gets more confusing because there is that scene where, what is it? Renata and her husband walk in because they're looking for, I guess, the lawyer type.
Right.
And they go in to use the bathroom, and all the bodies are tossed into the tub.
Yeah, they're piled up in the bathtub.
And she's horrified.
Because where else are you going to put them?
Because we don't know who's killed those 4 kids as of this moment. But you see them calling, hey, whatever the lawyer's name is. Hey, buddy, where are you? Are you here? And it cuts to him like in the back, listening but not responding. And then you see him pick up an axe, and you're just like, whoa, wait a minute. Are you the murderer? It was like, again, these murderers don't have like evil, like murdery faces. They just look like normal people. And they're like, oh, by the way, I have an axe. And I think I'm about to murder some people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of the teenagers gets an axe right in the middle of his head, which I don't understand why that makes your face then green.
That's what happens.
Perfect clown.
That's what happens. Well,
maybe gets gangrene from a dirty axe.
Well, right. The four young people who are on and there's literally like 30 minutes just focuses on the 4 young people. It's like when they arrive, they don't cut to anybody else's story until they're all dead, essentially.
Right. Oh, and one of the best death scenes for them is two of the teenagers are having sex, girl on top, and then they get harpooned, but there's still time for a couple of extra thrustings before you perish. They both have harpoons that go from her back through him to the floor, but there's still room for a couple more. I'm not quite done.
Well, why not? At that point, you might as well, right? Get while the getting's good. You're right. Well, that's funny.
They're still going.
And it's funny when she's on top. He's got her like of a praying mantis kind of move with his elbows akimbo, straight out, like kind of around her neck. And you're like, what are you doing? What is this? I've not seen that particular
Too much Russian porn.
It was
too much Russian porn.
Too much. Absolutely. So the Viking gets killed, and I looked this up. It's called a hookbill machete because it's like a machete with kind of like a little hook at the end kind of shape. So she sees the body of the uncle who was unceremoniously just tossed in the bay and is just floating around out there like a buoy, and runs out screaming, naked as a jaybird. Barely throws on her cover, and the killer, full frontal, absolutely. Killer comes up behind her as she's running and hacks once, twice, 3 times while she's still running, decapitating her while she's still running. So that's the end of her, and that's the same.
Except for the part where she's laying there and she's still breathing.
I wrote that down too. Eyes still looking around, going, "Did you call cut?" While she's still breathing, yes. Fine acting.
She's tired because she's been running, so her chest is still heaving after she's supposedly
That is correct.
Dead.
That is correct. Well, and that's that image is what's on the poster. Is like her screaming while you see the machete coming around to get her head. And that's the same weapon that goes right in the dude's face when he opens the wrong door. Well, I heard a noise. What's that? Open door wide. Machete to the forehead. Boom. And then the other couple gets a spear right through. Again, why are there spears? This is like a medieval weapon of some sort. Who knows?
So there's 2 things. At one point, they have a spear and African mask because that was popular decoration in the 70s. But the 2 that get killed, it's like a harpoon. It looked more like, a foul shape.
It always comes back to that with you. I don't need to know the shape.
You know that all these serial killer things, they always tell you the knife is their impotent way of penetrating.
Interesting. Good to know. Let me write this down.
Write that down.
Jesus. No. But that was a funny scene where it's like Ingrid or whatever her name is, Helga, Ursula, whatever her name is, the Viking woman. She goes off by her.
Nellie Olson.
Nellie, exactly. She's like, I'm going to go swimming in the water. And she goes in there like it's a swamp, essentially. I'm going to get bare ass naked and go into the swamp water by myself. Never a good move.
In the dark.
In the dark.
Yeah.
With even if there's an old rotten tea bag of a corpse floating in there, I'm still not going in there. Clean or not, I'm not going in the swamp. Enough. So they're all dead, and we don't know. This is the first other than the first murder, we knew exactly who did it. But after that, it becomes kind of a mystery again. Like, who killed the husband? Who killed these 4 kids? We don't know who's doing it. So when we see the lawyer picking up the axe and approaching Renata, the daughter of the missing husband, or the dead husband, we're like, oh, damn, is he the murderer? Because he's in the house with these people. There's been no explanation. So she closes the door. He's coming to get at her in the bathroom, and she stabs him through the glass with the scissors, which seems like self-defense to me. Am I wrong?
Okay, first of all, to me, that's probably the only justifiable, but, it depends on who's chasing her, If I'm coming to kill you because you've done this, then maybe it's not justified. But
well, because
the idea that I'm going to punch through glass, though, to stab you with my butter knife, that seems a little
right.
funky.
Well, and that kind of kicks things off, because so she stabs him, and she'd already sent her husband to go get the car, go get the Mercedes. So he bails to go get the car, so he doesn't see what happens. But the kindly bug collector walks in and sees the body and goes, oh, damn, I need to call the cops.
Right,
and that's what kicks it off even further. Now, again,
it's important that you say that out loud so anyone listening knows.
Oh my God, there's a dead body. I better call the police right now.
I like how he had to look up the police.
This is before 911. There's no 911 in 71.
Well, apparently it was like 331. All their phone numbers were 4 digits. Did you notice that? Every time they'd call one, it would be 4 digits.
That's how they worked in Italy.
Italy only had half a dozen.
That's all you needed. That's all you needed. The good old days. So Renata realizes that the kindly bug man has seen the body, and so her husband pulls up with the car, and she's like, he saw me not kill the guy, but saw my handiwork. You need to go kill him now. This guy, this friendly dude we met earlier in the movie, who's been nothing but nice to us, you need to go kill him. And the husband's like, honey, like she asked him to take the trash out or something. It's like, ugh, really?
It's 11 o'clock. I don't want to take the trash out.
He was reluctant, but not so reluctant that he didn't just immediately walk over there, grab the guy with the phone line, and then mercilessly strangle him to death.
All right, we got to stop for a second. The bug guy, did you notice that when the wife went into it, he literally was now pinning cockroaches? It's a wall of butterflies, but on the table is literally a cockroach pin. And then he also has one in his pocket that he carries around for fun.
A dead one that he carries around and talks to. Yes. So the crazy guy who lives on the property, who collects, and I had to look this up because he uses like the Latin term like Oceloptera, something like that, which I was unfamiliar with.
Velociraptors. He's pinning velociraptors.
That's correct.
On a board with.
Well, okay. As you know.
So, what does the Latin tell us? Because I had to look up Elon Musk quote, but I was kind of sure what that was. But today is a day of Latin, I guess.
I looked it up. It just means like beetles. He collects beetles.
Oh my God.
So.
And yet there's a wall of butterflies.
Which is not, Ocelopteras are not butterflies. That's Lepidopteras, by the way. Which I thought is what he was doing. I thought initially when we see him, he's got like a butterfly net chasing something. We don't see what he's chasing. So you think he's like a butterfly collector, but then he says Ocelopteras, which I'm sure I'm messing that up. And they never say, the common beetle or anything like that. We just know it's bugs of some sort.
Yes.
So he's into that. And he has kind of a tempestuous relationship with his wife, the fortune teller, she's kind of clairvoyant or something as well. She's like, this.
Not clairvoyant.
Clearly not. Get on the boat.
Get your money back before it's too late.
Adios. So he goes and murders the bug man for discovering the body. Right? When the easiest thing in the world would be like, hey, that body was obviously with the other bodies in the bathtub, which I had nothing to do with. Right?
Well, Obviously, the bodies have. You're not going to inherit anything if no one knows someone is someone is dead. If no one knows that someone is dead, you're not inheriting. You're not buying whatever. So bodies. Some of the bodies have to be found.
Well, okay. The mother's body was found,
but
her murderous husband's body disappeared. Essentially.
So his body has to be found before any chain of inheritance. And then you're going to spend the next 6 years in weird Italian processing and inheritance.
Right. Well, that's why Renata and her husband are there, because her father has disappeared. She doesn't know that he's dead. Of course, later in the movie, she just finds his corpse in Simon's boat with Simon.
That was the most up part. She finds she sees something wiggling underneath a tarp and rips it back to see her father with an octopus slithering across his face.
Right. Her dead father. So again, Simon has the body, which I guess was floating in the bay, in his boat. And he's just kind of like, whoops, my bad. Shit happens. What can I say? I don't know. So, so the gypsy woman, I don't know if she's a gypsy. She's a fortune teller. She goes back to the house where the bodies are found. She finds the body of the lawyer on the ground with the wound in his hip. And it's like, oh, damn. Then you see the axe just come up behind her and just lop her head off. Her head like a hot knife through butter. Her head just rolls off.
And then close up of the nub, just like every horror movie that I remembered as a child, with the squirt, chunks of meat and squirting.
With the squirt. With
that crazy red that doesn't exist in nature. I love it.
Absolutely. The 70s were big like that. I think they felt it was somehow less disturbing if you make the blood look like super red.
Oh my God.
In some way, like it looks less. I mean, I'm guessing, or they just didn't know how to make blood look real. I don't know what the story is. So she's dead. The bodies are dropping. At this point, the lawyer's girlfriend / lover / executive assistant pulls into town in her, what was it, like a Mini Cooper or something, and is looking for her husband. She goes to talk to Simon, and this is kind of when everything's revealed that the lawyer and his girlfriend or whatever were basically trying to get people to murder the old woman so that they could buy the property. Essentially, that's what this is all about. And that it was Simon, the bastard by the bay, who murdered the 4 kids because Ingrid, the Viking woman, had discovered the body just floating around by the pier. So now they're witnesses, so he had to kill those people.
Well, the father has to be dead. The father has to be dead for anyone to inherit anything, right?
Well, no, because the father doesn't necessarily own it, right? Simon, I think the thought process is... We don't know
inheritance law in Italy. It could be different.
We don't. Simon is the natural-born son of the woman who was murdered at the beginning. And he was the one who killed her husband because he just killed his mother.
So you could have just done right there. In a fit of passion, I killed my father after he killed my mother. The end. No movie.
He didn't kill his father.
I mean, his stepfather.
He killed his stepfather. Kind of, but again, he's a bastard.
Right. I killed my mama's husband because he murdered my poor mama.
Right. So we don't, and honestly, I don't know if this is some kind of Game of Thrones thing, where if you're the bastard, you don't really have any familial rights. I don't know what the story is. So he killed, the husband killed his wife. Simon killed the husband. Then Simon killed the 4 teenagers who came to town.
Then Simon killed the lawyer's girlfriend.
Well, that comes later, which in a bizarre twist, which is not entirely explained. So the lawyer was like, "Hey, right." The lawyer says, "Simon, you just murdered for people. You need to lay low. And Simon's like, I live in a shack down by the water. I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. And he's like, well, look, if you sign away the rights to the bay to me, I will give you all the money you'll need to disappear.
I'm going to see that money right now, and I need to be in a running car with the money next to me as I sign it, because I don't trust you,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So he was kind of in cahoots at that moment for some reason. But then, and this is not explained at all, at some point, Simon realizes that the lawyer and the girlfriend convinced the husband to murder his mother.
All right. So,
they don't explain how Simon knows this, but he figures it out.
Because he's got some of that gypsy blood. So he confronts the girlfriend of the lawyer.
Yes.
She has a giant pan of boiling, I don't know, grease, water, whatever. Throws it on him. He should have been incapacitated. But he recovered.
Well, he did kind of go, ah!
He went, ah! For a second. You and I, it's a third-degree burn. We would have been crying for the next 6 months. He quickly recovered from having his skin basically baked off his skull to then murder her in some weird autoerotic, sexual thing.
Well, it looked like he was trying to rape her almost, but then he didn't. He just strangled her. It was like, I can't decide what crime against nature I want to commit right now.
But we got to see still wearing stockings with garters back in there. It was a sexy look they tried to bring back in the 80s, but in reality, it's really a pain in the ass.
It's always a classy move. And he murders her because I think he knows that the lawyer's been stabbed. He thinks he's dead. And he kills her because she says, oh, no, it was the lawyer. It was always his plan. I just went along with it. She was actively involved. She's the one who finds like the slip of paper from the old woman's diary. Right. She's the one who seduces the husband and starts an affair with him to coerce him to murder. So she's up hip deep in the murders as well. So she's dead. Okay. So now you got Renata and her husband are still around. They have just murdered a couple people. And Simon comes out. I guess he's like, I'm going to go murder anyone else I see at this stage of the game. But he gets skewered by Renata's husband with the spear yet again. And an extended stabbing montage just runs him through. So now Simon's dead. So now everyone else is dead except for Renata, who's the daughter of the dead husband, and her husband, and their kids back at the trailer. So they're like, yay, we burned the contract. There's no one else to inherit it except us. We're in the money. We're in the money. So they go back to their trailer, and with no preamble, no explanation, their kids go, hey, mommy and daddy, and pull out a double-barreled shotgun and gun them both down. Boom, boom.
That's classic. That was very unexpected. Very unexpected.
It was. One could argue it wasn't set up, it wasn't explained, and it wasn't motivated. Now, it seems based upon the kids, what they say is like they think they're just playing a game. Mommy and daddy sure play dead good. Let's go play by the bay and leave their parents' corpses there.
Yeah.
And then some like circus music starts playing over the credits.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So
fantastic.
And that's a Bay of Blood. Sweet Jesus.
I just wanted to say one thing. The illegitimate son, when he finally gets killed, it was kind of I don't know. He looked kind of like it was a religious thing. He had this leg up. He looked like he was, I don't know, Saint Sebastian or something. Like there was a light coming in. There was the skewer in him. They were trying to do something there. I'm not exactly sure what it was.
Oh, and we didn't even talk about how when they think that they've won, the lawyer reappears yet again to try to attack him, and the husband murders him for real. So the husband, who up to this point had not killed anybody, is now killed 3 people in a span of 15 minutes with his bare hands.
I will tell you, the body count is right up there with a Jason movie.
13 people,
13
ironically, die in the course of this movie.
Absolutely.
13. Crazy. I took a few notes, but then I just wanted to luxuriate. Just let it wash on over me. So I'm done. You got anything else?
No, I got nothing else. Although I am gathering things from behind the scene.
Shall we go? Shall we go behind the scenes right now? Are you ready?
Yes.
This movie, as I said, is highly influential to the slasher films, specifically the Friday the 13th movies.
Oh, yeah.
Friday the 13th Part 1, a woman takes a hatchet to the front of her face, which is absolutely reminiscent of the guy taking the hook bill machete to the face. It's basically the exact same scene. In Friday the 13th Part 2, there is a young couple doing their business in the bed, having their conjugal relations, when Jason comes up behind them and sticks them with a spear right through them, through the bed, sticking into the floor of their bedroom, which is a direct rip from Bay of Blood. Taken basically a shot-for-shot remake of that exact same scene. So,
for sure.
Good times. The shooting locations that Mario Bava, the director, used for this movie, there were no woods there at all. So they had to create woods by putting branches in front of the camera.
Shut your mouth. They couldn't find a freaking forest because they look out at the bay, and except for the Viking who goes swimming, there's a few shots. They couldn't figure that out. I got to tell you, there are forests, in fact, in Italy. Little known fact.
Well, there were a few trees, but they wanted to have it look like people running through the forest kind of thing.
That's so funny.
So they had to kind of simulate that. Wah,
that's so funny. I like that.
Due to the film's low budget, most of the locations in the film belong to director Mario Bava or members of the crew. The interiors of Countess Federica's home was shot at a favorite villa of Bava's, and the interior of Frank Ventura's, that's the lawyer's, country house, were shot at a summer home owned by the producer. There you go.
All
right. The film's low budget resulted in Mario Bava being his own cinematographer, and he had to use a simple child's wagon for many of the film's tracking shots.
I love all this. It makes me more confident that with our iPhones, we can figure this all out.
Oh, absolutely. No question. Dario Argento loved this movie so much, he had a friend who was a projectionist steal a print that he owns to this day.
Oh my God, that's classic.
And then the theater were like, what the hell? What are we going to do? Because they now don't have the movie to show. They had to show Bava's previous movie, Hatchet for the Honeymoon, for the last week and a half instead of this movie.
Oh my God.
People were like, what the hell? Like I said, often considered Mario Bava's most influential film and the film that started the slasher craze, which is still popular. Many fans of the genre consider this the grandfather of the modern slasher film.
I believe it. I mean, for sure, 13 bodies. Let's go.
Absolutely. To ensure the utmost realism in depicting the 13 different murders, Mario Bava insisted that Carlo Rambaldi be hired to provide the special makeup effects. We've talked about him a million times. Most famously, he did all of the effects for E.T. the Extraterrestrial with Steven Spielberg.
What? He's the real deal.
Yep. One of 39 films that were successfully prosecuted under the Obscene Publications Act in the UK, a list commonly known as the Video Nasties. Are you familiar with the Video Nasties?
I've heard that name before, but that's as far as I go.
In the United Kingdom, there was a time through like the 70s through the 80s where movies were getting really violent, like the Cannibal Holocaust period, basically, where they're so violent that they literally made laws banning certain types of movies. Like it was a crime to see the movie, a crime to own the movie. They would just ban these movies.
Death, is that it?
Yes. Basically they were like, so for some of these movies remained on the ban list until like 10 years ago. So crazy. One promotional gimmick was that every ticket holder was required to pass through the final warning station, where a theater worker warned you face to face that this may be the last shock film you will ever want to see.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
It'll be so upsetting to you. There's Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee, famous actor. He had been in a Mario Bava film a few years earlier and was a big fan of his work. He went and saw this movie and was so disgusted at the violence that he left the theater in protest.
That's beautiful.
Good times. And I think, other titles among this, The Stench of Flesh, Thus Do We Live to Be Evil, and that will teach them to be bad. We talked about Ecologia del Delito, which means ecology of crime, which we talked about. It was also goes under the title of Carnage.
Yes.
And Chain Reaction. It was called Chain Reaction, meaning each murder leads to the next murder, is the idea behind it, theoretically.
Which would have been a better name.
Could be.
Chain Reaction.
The Countess's suicide note reads, February 13th. It is over. I am tired. My life no longer has meaning. That's it.
Yeah, they said that out loud.
Played Scattered Dates. It could be. Played Scattered Dates as Snuff is My Game. So that's yet another title.
Snuff is My Game. These are the worst names.
Sweet Jesus. Shall we talk about the cast and crew?
Yes. There's only one cast member that I want to talk about.
Well, first, let's talk about Mario Bava. Mario Bava is an extraordinarily successful Italian director. He is literally the father of all of the giallo films that we like from the 70s. Like Dario Argento was inspired by his work. Famously, one of his most famous works was called Black Sunday, which dealt with like a witch coming back.
Not the one about the blimp in the Super Bowl?
Not about that. That's a different Black Sunday. He also did a movie called Black Sabbath, which became the name of a famous rock group with Ozzy Osbourne. That's where it came from. Lisa and the Devil, Eric the Conqueror, Planet of the Space Vampires.
Oh, didn't we see Planet of the Space Vampires?
Could be. Let's talk about the cast. As you said, there's only one cast member I want to talk about. Do you know who I'm going to talk about? Who did you want to talk about? No, who's Nicoletta Elmi?
It's the little girl at the end. She was in Flesh for Frankenstein and Deep Red. As soon as I saw her crazy little head pop out of the trailer, I was like, holy f***, I know who this chick is.
Oh, that's right. Nicoletta Elmi, Deep Red. She was Olga. She was in something called Who Saw Her Die? She was in Demoni, which is Lamberto Bava's movie, Demons, which was terrifying. Of course, all your Flesh for Frankenstein.
Yeah, of course I remembered her for Flesh for Frankenstein.
Well, that's all very interesting. The one cast member I wanted to talk about was Claudine Auger, who plays Renata, the daughter of the killed husband.
All right.
Because she was a Bond girl.
What?
She was that's how I know her from. She was Domino in the Sean Connery Bond movie Thunderball. She was his main love interest in that movie.
I don't even know if I remember Thunderball. Awesome.
Thunderball. She's a French actress. She's a French actress, which means I've never actually heard her real voice because they dubbed her in Thunderball, and they clearly dubbed her in this one as well.
Why would you hire someone like in Thunderball and then dub her? Because she is pretty here, but she is not striking. So they chose her above all others and then dubbed her.
She was quite pretty in Thunderball.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, this was a thing that they did in those early Sean Connery movies. They would hire attractive international women who maybe had not mastered the English language that much. So like Ursula Andress was in Dr. No. She was Swedish. They're like, whatever. They hired like an Italian model for the next one and they're just dubbing them. Screw it. They don't care. And you also got to remember in Goldfinger, for God's sakes, they hired the guy to play Goldfinger, who was later in like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He's a German actor who was unintelligible. So they had to dub him as well.
What the hell?
So they just said, F it. Yes.
At first,
the thing they
there
do.
are no gorgeous women that speak English and no menacing old men who speak English.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
You got to find them somewhere else.
We look through all the English-speaking countries, and there just wasn't anyone.
Can't do it. I'm out. Let's talk about the rating, shall we?
Wait a minute. What I was Googling is the
Please.
boy was apparently a big pop star in Italy and appeared in a bunch of movies. So I was Googling desperately. It says famous pop star. And I was Googling desperately trying to find a recording of one of his songs and could not do it. Could not find anything.
Renato Castise is a former Italian film actor. He was Italy's top child star of the 70s. Best known work was in The Last Snows of Spring, where he'd play a neglected child who's ultimately diagnosed with terminal leukemia. That sounds like a horrible movie. I'm not watching that.
I mean, I swear to you, and maybe I didn't have my glasses, that it said pop star.
No.
Shit.
So several of the.
That would explain why I found a lot of scenes of him acting and no songs.
Yeah. However, in his adult career, he mostly worked in television.
And porn.
After a part on the sitcom I Ragazzi della Tre, I don't know. He retired from acting and opened up a gym. So there you go. That's your child star.
There you go.
Anywho, should we talk about the rating, for God's sakes? We're like 2 hours into this.
He's the new Billy Mummy. Maybe he joined a band like Eddie Munster and the rest of them.
From Lost in Space. Let's see. Bay of Blood, currently 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. 86. Do you know what the audience gave it?
I was like, less?
63% is what the audience gave it.
I mean, that's pretty bold. And 86 is that's a pretty bold statement.
I agree.
I think a lot of these, because they have maybe historical significance in the world of cinema, that they get boosted. Like, let's all go watch Birth of a Nation. Maybe not. That was considered,
maybe not.
That was always considered something. And like, I think in my film appreciation, we watched just a little bit of Triumph of the Will, but it was so fucking boring. But the cinematography was
Lenny
beautiful.
Riefenstahl. Yeah. We don't need to watch.
It was long. It was long, but I mean, the shots were glorious. But you know, we don't want to recruit. The problem is if it's too good, you start recruiting. You're like, maybe it's all true. Let's see what Q says on my YouTube channel.
Let's see what Q says on the dark web. Top critics. There's no Roger Ebert. There's no Rex Reed. Randy Myers of the San Jose Mercury News gave it 3 out of 4. An effective example of the giallo genre. Okay. Let's see. Anton Bitel of Little White Lies. I'm not familiar.
See what I mean? Okay. These are not real things. Yes. They're less real than we are. Yeah, those are the top critics. And what does that tell you?
Yes. A brutal, bludgeoning film, utterly misanthropic in its outlook, and all the better for its refusal to compromise and exposing human nature at its ugly, imitable worst.
Oh my God, I love how they turn this into, it's like some statement on the human nature. This is a sociological experiment. I'm going to do my doctoral thesis on this.
Absolutely.
What kind of shit is this?
Well, and when we watched the current Argento film Dark Glasses, which is like a modern giallo, obviously. And I have to say,
it ended up being like Encanto compared to this. It was like so not
Encanto. We don't talk about Bruno. Is that what you're talking about?
It was Encanto, a Disney film compared to the violence in this.
Oh, no question. Multiple decapitations. I'm just going to say that.
Encanto is what is it? 1,000 years, 100 years of solitude, right? We can all agree with that, right?
No one gets these references, Aaron. Sweet G, what is your rating, by the way?
Well, first of all, what do you think my rating is? I want you to take a little magical guess.
0.
Wrong!
0 out of 1,000.
I am going to give it 3 out of 5 testicle-like, oh my God, octopus getting bitten like an apple. There you go. 3 out of 5. Testicle snaps.
Interesting. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair rating. I will give it. I'll give it 3 out of 5. Naked swamp swims with a floating corpse. Absolutely. No question.
You know,
It's
bonus for
Go
full
ahead.
frontal nudity and
Yes.
just creative. I mean, I saw some people die that in a way I hadn't seen before, so that's you get extra
Yep.
credit for that. And the
Absolutely.
soundtrack, I was like, there was a couple of times I wasn't sure if I was in a tiki lounge or something, but some of the music and the soundtrack was actually pretty good. I was like, that's kind of
Yes.
cool. I could play that at a cocktail party. I need to go on Discogs and see if I can find. I mean, now that we found the soundtrack for A Human Centipede on a LP on blue vinyl, we know that Bay of Blood has a soundtrack out there. When I go
Got to.
when I go back to Italy, I'm deep diving.
Doing it.
Merry Christmas.
Go get that stuff from Italy.
I don't want to spoil anything, but Merry Christmas.
Exactly. Good times had by all. No, if you're into slasher films, I think you got to see this. I think this is part of your education. If you're into that sort of thing.
Well,
if it's not your cup of tea, then take a pass.
Well, I have to say I don't like slasher films, but it's so ridiculous. Ooh. It's not scary. It's not scary, and it's more cartoonish than this is. Some of these slasher movies, they want to make it look like it's too real. You know what I mean? This is kind of cartoonish slasher movies with the chopped off head and the hatchet to the face, and it's clearly just hijinks and mischief. I mean, so it doesn't these don't bother me. The old slashers don't bother me.
Well, and I have to say, I mean, in this day and age, we've seen a few hatchets to the face in our day. This is the first time I can recall where then you see the guy pull the hatchet out of the guy's face.
That was good. It was one of these things. It's one of these things where you're not scared. I mean, were you scared? Were you ever nervous? No, you're just waiting.
But my soul's black and dead, though. So who's to say?
It's not Sophie's choice, right?
It is absolutely not.
You're going to sleep like a baby after watching this because you're just waiting to see what kind of nonsense is going to happen next. It's fun, and again, better as a musical. Better as a musical.
Let's hear some of those hip tunes from A Bay of Blood, the musical. Eating this octopus.
It has to have kind of like that 70s chicka down. It's got to have some of that. It has to have music that fits the time. Maybe
like Isaac Hayes.
Some Isaac Hayes. It's like Shaft, but not Shaft. And you're going to get the Shaft. How about that?
The Hughes Corporation can do the soundtrack.
Love it.
No, I have to say, I kept calling it Bay of Blood or The Bay of Blood. It is not called that. It's called A Bay of Blood. As if there are many of these.
That's right. Yes. This is just the first one.
This is just the first of many Bay of Bloods.
It could be like the Morrow Bay of Blood. That could be the next one.
The Morrow Bay of Blood. Absolutely. One thing I will say is that you will not understand what the hell's going on for the first hour 15. You won't know why people are dying or what the motivation is until later, and even then it's kind of questionable.
And honestly, I still argue with you that there's a derelict old beach club at a separate house. They cannot be the same house.
Who's to say? Who's to say?
Kids, write in and tell Kevin he's wrong. Thank you.
Please do so.
Allow me to give you his work email so you can just go directly to him.
Yes. Come visit me at work. Harass me while I'm at work. Love it.
Just thank you very much. Parking lot for him, buy his car after work, and have that conversation.
Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcast, TW Die. I have to say, I caused a bit of a kerfuffle. I didn't tell you this yet, Aaron.
Oh, good. Tell me.
Who is that?
Elon Musk has unfollowed us. Are we getting the block on Twitter?
We're getting the block. No, I'm on. When it comes to social media, I am kind of basically one of the killers of Bay of Blood, where I just, cut people mercilessly, right? Because my Twitter feed was becoming a deluge of random podcasts that I wasn't interacting with and who weren't interacting with me. So I had basically gone through and was like, if we've been friends, quote unquote, for like 6 months or a few weeks and we have not really interacted at all, then I'm clipping you. You got no offense, no harm done. but I guess that offended some people. So if you're listening to this and you were offended by that, I apologize.
Yeah,
Hit me up.
man.
I know. I do these things.
You know, we have apps that show who has unfollowed us. This is not like if you unfollow your goofy coworker. People who promote are checking the levels. That is a kerfuffle.
It is a kerfuffle, but if they choose to unfollow me back, that's fine. Like I said, it's like we weren't interacting. It wasn't like we were best friends and then I.
But it boosts their numbers. It boosts their numbers and it boosts our numbers. This is a business, damn it!
Clearly, that's how I need to be looking at it. Because I was like, I have other interests. I like to learn about sports and movies, world events, politics.
This is why you have to have a separate account. Like I have 2 different Facebooks. You have to have 2 different Twitschools. One for the podcast.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's why we have 2 different Instagrams.
This is true. We're also on Facebook at the podcast that wouldn't die. And Aaron,
well, maybe we are. I don't know. Did you delete everybody? I don't know.
I'm less concerned about the followers on Facebook. Sadly, no offense, Facebook followers, but there you go. Are we on Instagram and TikTok, Aaron? What's the word?
No, I'm going to tell you a Facebook thing. So people out there also listening. Facebook, I am going through and deleting actual human beings that I don't interact with on a regular basis.
I do that all the time. All the time.
And I'm going through, and it's people I interact with, but I'm not interacting with them on Facebook. So.
Oh, really? Why are you doing that then?
Because basically, they're going to do something that annoys me eventually. So eventually, Facebook will be 5 of my closest friends and just groups that I follow.
Okay, look, on Facebook, my personal Facebook account, I've often said, if I was at a party and I wouldn't go up and say hello to you, then I need to cut you from my group, basically. Because I don't need to hear about, the meals you're having and the vacations your people and your families. If we're not that close, then you got to go.
No, I'm going deeper. If you're not posting something that's interesting or amusing to me, you're getting a cut, whether I like you or not. Even if I see you every single day. If you're
that is hardcore.
It's hardcore.
That is hardcore.
And Facebook, the assholes they are, they've made it difficult. You can unfollow. I'm going deeper. I'm going to actually burying down and I'm unfriending.
Right.
They make it difficult. It used to be very easy. You just click on it, say unfriend. Now it doesn't show that. It just says unfollow, which means you're still friends and they still see you.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm
going cutthroat. It's just going to be horror vision and my art and my book club, things that I need to have because.
Are we on Instagram and TikTok, by the way? We're going 2 hours on this podcast.
Did Elon Musk buy that now?
Yes.
We are, in fact, the podcast that wouldn't die on Instagram, at least for now.
And TikTok?
We are on the Ticker Talker. We are the podcast that wouldn't die. I try to put new content up on Sundays or Mondays. It's a thing.
If Twitter goes up in flames, we're still available on these other sites and other sites beyond these. So there you have it. Good times.
What are some of the fake Twitter sites? What is it? Caribou, something like.
There's nothing called Caribou. This is not a tech podcast, but ever so quickly, I believe the ones that are non-political are like Mastodon.
That's what I meant.
And Post, I think is called.
No, I saw some of my Twitter photography people are posting something else. There's 25 fake Twitters now that don't involve Donald Trump.
Those are the 2 that I'm familiar with. There's also kind of political. It's like Tribal is like the left-leaning Truth Social or Parlay. If you want to go.
Oh, no, not Parlay. Come on, brother. Actually,
I'm not doing any of these things. So.
God damn it. Now I'm never going to find it. I was literally laying in bed, drinking coffee.
Let's wrap this up.
Excuse me.
You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We're going too goddamn long. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
I apologize for my brother. He doesn't know good content when he hears it.
Clearly. If you've listened to our show, you know I don't know what good content looks like or sounds like.
So he'll unfollow you and unfriend you. Watch out.
I just might. I don't even know what I was going to say. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. Aaron, do you have social media? What's the story?
I have much media. I'm on Caribou.
There's no fucking Caribou. Now you got me dropping F-bombs. That's bleep myself.
I am on Instagram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I'm on the Twitski. I couldn't even be bothered to move to yet another site. So I'm on Twitski, and I am at Queen Aaron or something or other.
Cult of Aaron.
The Cult of Aaron, maybe, I don't know. I actually created a second Twitter account that I can't figure out how to delete, but I never look at it. So if it's not at Queen Aaron, it ain't nothing. And then, just in time for the holidays, head on over to Artsy and First Dibs, Aaron Doherty. Come by my Polaroid enlargements. Perfect for all the holidays. Late Ramadan, early, I can't even.
Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, winter solstice.
Especially for solstice, yes.
Absolutely. So get those solstice gifts ready. Anyway, next week we'll be discussing the horror classic It Follows, which I haven't seen in a while. I saw it when I think about the time it came out, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm going to dig that one out. You can watch that on Netflix. So if you have a Netflix account, it's one of the few movies that's on there. So there you go. You can watch that.
Very nice. I have not seen it, so I'm excited about it.
It's good. Send it. Go ahead.
And again, you are not watching American Horror Story?
I'm not. I'm kind of watching Rings of Power a little bit when the spirit moves me, and I finished Cobra Kai, which I'm enjoying. So there you go.
Jesus. Did you go see Black Adam?
I did see Black Adam, and so did you.
Yes. Why is he black? Why is he Black Adam?
It's racism.
It's racism. Why you guys say Black Adam? That's like, it's my black mailman. Why is he Black Adam? Why isn't he just Adam?
To not confuse him with the biblical character. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Biblical character.
That often occurs. All right, go for
it. Send us any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, questions about It Follows, and we may just talk about it on the show. So good times had by all. Thank you very much, and be well.
Be well, babies. Again, don't put fentanyl in the rum cake.